Simplifying this expression means we need to express all that as a single fraction. And so we need to work out the lowest common denominator. We have x over 5 minus 2x over 3. 5 can be written as 5 over 1. Now, the lowest common denominator for these three fractions should be 15. And so we are going to multiply the first denominator here by 3 to make it 15. But that means we need to multiply x also by 3. And that gives us 3x over 15. For the second part, multiply the denominator there by 5. Multiply the numerator also by 5. And that will give you negative 10x over 15. And the third fraction, multiply the denominator by 15 and multiply the numerator by 15. And that will give us 75 divided by 15. Now this is a fraction we need in our final answer to have a fraction as well. Because 15 is a common denominator, we can draw that long line there and put the 15 under the line. And then for the numerator, we just copy down the numerators from the fractions above. Then simplify. 3x minus 10x will give you negative 7x. And that will be our answer there. But for number 2, we are solving the equation, which means we are looking for the value of x for this equation. X over 5 subtract 2x over 3 is equal to 5, right? 5 is a fraction, like 5 over 1. We use the same approach. We need to know what the lowest common denominator is. Once again, the denominator here is 15. We are going to multiply this by 3 to make it 15, which means we multiply that one also by 3. And that gives us 3x over 15. For the second part, we will multiply 3 by 5 to make it 15, which means that will be multiplied by 5 as well. And so we get minus 10x divided by 15. And the last fraction there, we need to multiply this by 15, both the numerator and the denominator by 15. And that will give us 75 divided by 15. Okay. Because this is an equation, and this particular equation is a fractional equation with a lowest common denominator of 15, what we can do with the 15 is to just drop that lowest common denominator there. So drop the lowest common denominator. The easiest thing is to just cross them out like that. And so you remain with your numerator 3x minus 10x, which is equal to 75. Simplify and solve for x. 3x minus 10x is negative 7x is equal to 75. Now if you divide both sides by negative 7, you will get an answer of negative 75 all over 7, which you can leave like that. Let's look at another example. Once again, I would advise you to copy down the equation and write that 1 there as a fraction as well. So 1 means 1 over 1. Then identify the lowest common denominator. In this case, the lowest common denominator should be 14. So we are going to change all those denominators into 14. Now to do that for the first fraction, we need to multiply 7 by 2. So we multiply this by 2. But because we are multiplying the denominator by 2, we should also multiply the numerator by 2. I suggest if you don't want to make a mistake, put that numerator into a bracket because it is a compound kind of statement. We are going to multiply that numerator by 2, then put the 2 in front of the bracket. Do the same thing, for instance, for the second fraction. Your denominator is 2 there, but we need that to be 14, which means 2 should be multiplied by 7 to make it 14. We will therefore multiply the numerator 2x minus 3 there by a 7 as well. So put the 7 in front of the bracket just after the negative sign. Then for the last part, we multiply here by 14 and we multiply there by 14. So what do we get now? You'll get 2 brackets 3x minus 2 all divided by 14. Subtract 7 brackets 2x minus 3. All that is divided by 14, which is equal to 14 over 14. Now you can drop the LCD because the LCD is 14. So you can drop that now and you see what you remain with. So then distribute the 2 into the bracket. That gives you 6x minus 4. Distribute the negative 7 as well. That gives us negative 14x plus 21. And all that is equal to 14. I'm going to collect like terms. I'll leave terms in x on the left-hand side and take all the other numbers to the other side. So the negative 4 becomes a plus 4. The plus 21 becomes a minus 21. On the left-hand side, we have negative 8x. And on the right-hand side, 14 plus 4 minus 21 will give you negative 3. So that's a negative 3 there. Then divide both sides by negative 8. Divide both sides by negative 8. And you'll get your value of x. So x is equal to 3 over 8, which is your answer. In this example, x cannot be equal to 0. That is the first thing you need to take note of. And you actually need to write it down. X should not be equal to 0. Because if x is equal to 0, then our fractions will have denominators of 0. And we know that that is not possible for fractions. But the lowest common denominator is equal to 3x. So these two things are very important. So let's now change all our denominators into 3x. The first one is okay like that. The second one, we will need to multiply by 3. So multiply the denominator by 3 and multiply the numerator by 3 as well to get 3 over 3x. 5 over 3x is already using 3x, so we keep it as it is. 1, remember 1 means 1 over 1. So that's a fraction 1 over 1. We want our denominator to be 3x, so multiply by 3x and multiply the numerator also by 3x. That will give us 3x divided by 3x. Now you can drop those denominators and you remain with 2 plus 3 is equal to 5 plus 3x. Collect your like terms. If you collect your like terms, you have 2 plus 3, then let's bring the 5 to the left-hand side. All that will be equal to 3x. And this gives us 0 is equal to 3x. If you divide by 3 both sides, you get x is equal to 0. But what did we say? We said x should not be equal to 0. Okay, remember what you said up there? X should not be equal to 0. And yet we are getting x is equal to 0. This means there is no other value that x can assume for this equation. The only one it is getting is x equal to 0, but we know that x cannot be equal to 0. So we conclude that there is no solution. So there is no solution for this one.